Our journey to Africa's kings and queens takes us to Uganda, where a new kingdom is to be established, and where the kingdoms that already exist are discovering a new lease of life.
So you'll see the king of Busoga, a very flexible young man. We hang out with him, he's on social media, he tweets, he has Instagram.
And in Swaziland, Africa's last absolute monarch celebrates his birthday by giving himself a very special gift. The Republic of Uganda. The landlocked country in East Africa is located on Lake Victoria, the source of the White Nile, and is home to 35 million people. The region once attracted fishing boats and merchant ships. Now it is a popular destination for visitors from all over the world. Kingdoms have existed in Uganda since the 11th century, and several still exist.
You see that point over there where the ridges stick out of the water? That is where the very first falls on River Nile were. They were the first rapids on the Nile.
Yeah. Environmental conditions here allowed humans to settle and form large communities. The initial settlements and clans eventually gave way to kingdoms and monarchs. The White Nile is fed by Lake Victoria, Africa's largest lake. The Ugandan capital, Kampala, lies nearby. The city is the seat of Yoweri Museveni's government. Museveni has been president of Uganda for more than 30 years. Although Uganda is a republic, the country has a number of recognized kings who have some say over cultural developments in their regions. It takes time and extensive networking to achieve an audience with these rulers. The Kasumi tombs are located in a cemetery near Kampala. Here we meet Joseph Uma, a photographer like Alfred Weidinger.
You're a very famous photographer from Uganda. Can I see some photographs? You have something here?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
This is the one.
Oh, this is very nice.
This one, the present king.
Yes.
This who was colonized in.
This is the recent.
The recent king, 1993.
He's a very powerful king until now. Yeah.
When the British colonized Uganda in the 19th century, they used the local kings to cement their rule and eventually reduced the number of kings to 5. The kingdoms were located around Lake Victoria, while the dry north of the country was largely ignored.
Joseph mentioned to me that there is an attempt to establish a 6th kingdom in the far northeast. The Karamojong have laid claim to the territory. As yet, we do not know the state of negotiations, but I certainly do not want to miss this.
Our contacts attempt to establish a connection with Uganda's most important leaders. Meanwhile, we travel to the Karamojong region. Along the way, we gain a number of insights into modern Ugandan life. In recent years, there's been noticeable economic development, but past wars and humanitarian disasters have left their mark on the country. Independence from the British in 1962 was followed by a brief period of peace, but this ended just 9 years later. Idi Amin was a soldier and a showman who awarded himself honorary titles, even going so far as to call himself the conqueror of the British Empire. He launched a military coup in 1971, declaring himself president and assuming power over every aspect of Ugandan life. He established a regime of terror, brutally removing anyone he saw as a potential threat and ordering massacres. Although there are no official figures of how many people died, Amnesty International estimates that 500,000 may have lost their lives. Idi Amin's dictatorship was accepted internationally for as long as he remained pro-Western. The reign of terror was only condemned once he switched his allegiances to Libya and the Soviet Union. Two wars against neighboring Tanzania followed Idi Amin's seizure of power. In 1979, Tanzanian troops captured Kampala and ousted the Ugandan dictator. He died in exile in Saudi Arabia in 2003. Although Idi Amin's reign ended long ago, the scars of the period are still very evident in some parts of Uganda. The northeast of the country, where the Karamojong people live, is such a place. Until recently, the region was a lawless territory of armed militias and vigilante justice, a long-term consequence of the wars and Uganda's subsequent instability. Now, much has changed.
Three or 4 years ago, even in this village, and I saw many people with guns. But now this changed completely because there are no people with guns at the moment.
Around 5 years ago,
Yeah.
when guns used to be there, even our town here, we used to have guns. People could die. You find even your fellow brother, when you disappoint him, he could kill you before the other districts come to raid you even. But just your brother here can kill you.
After Idi Amin was ousted, the Karamojong looted weapons from the military camps. Soon, disputes were resolved with guns rather than words. Eventually, the government had to act. The behavior of the Karamojong led to escalating conflict with Kenya and Sudan. Government efforts initially met with heavy resistance, but the Karamojong eventually agreed to surrender their weapons.
It was a good decision to take the guns away.
It was a good decision to remove the guns away.
Yeah.
Though it was bad to some, because that's what used to give them some survival. But the problem was we lost so many people. The only riches we have is always animals. We don't have riches on cars, money. Because when we have animals, if animals survive, that's when you find our families get food. So when animals are not there, we cannot survive. Paying our wives is very hard. This is what we use. We pay dowry, we use animals. We pay school fees, animals. So that we keep going on with animals. You know, nowadays, the numbers of animals are reducing. Before the government had brought the thing of disarmament, we used to have too much animals. Though you lose one, but you can still go and steal. But nowadays, the government has disarmed the people, so it is very hard to go and raid. Even raiding used to risk.
According to a Karamojong saying, "He who has not stolen a cow is not a man." Naturally, this approach is a source of conflict with the neighbors. However, it is important to understand that according to the Karamojong belief system, the gods gave them all the earth's cattle. Stealing cows is therefore simply a means of returning them to their rightful owners, at least as far as the Karamojong are concerned. Cattle are central to life here. The Karamojong territory is sparse and inhospitable. As a result, there is little economic interest in the region, and the people who live here remain largely unaffected by developments at the heart of the country. The traditional Karamojong villages are a snapshot of human history. The old huts and stockades, designed to keep animals and people in and enemies out, have ceased to exist almost everywhere else. The Karamojong preserved their traditional culture for a long time, remaining resistant to change. Just 50 years ago, most of the people here did not wear clothes. Idi Amin used violence to suppress the old traditions, forcing the Karamojong to adopt Western-style clothing and to assimilate. Now, Western clothes have become common throughout the villages, and other traditional idiosyncrasies are vanishing as globalization encroaches. And yet the people here still predominantly live off their animals, as well as some crop farming and fishing. Despite the constant shortages, hospitality is extremely important to the Karamojong. This deceptively simple life nonetheless requires hard work from every member of the community, day or night. The society has its own laws, which are strictly obeyed. Their traditions are often misunderstood, but they have ensured the survival of the people for centuries. Rituals are observed carefully. Every part of a sacred cow has a clearly defined purpose to prevent wastage, and every member of the Karamojong observes these rites. Another unusual aspect of Karamojong life revolves around matrimony. The suitor, whether he is a Karamojong or not, has to wrestle his intended wife to the ground. If he fails, he is not considered a man and is forced to look for a wife outside the community. However, there are similarities between the Karamojong and other African cultures. Ritual jumping dances are a part of life, as is animism. Recently, efforts have increased to officially recognize the Karamojong as an independent culture within Uganda. The villagers tell us that as part of these efforts, there are plans to establish a new kingdom in Uganda's northeast. The meeting of the local chieftains is to take place at the large animal market closer to the border. In a few days, Karamojong dignitaries from the surrounding areas will congregate here. We arrive early to ensure that we don't miss this momentous event. Here, the influences of modern life are more evident. There are garages, bicycles, and brick houses. There is also a traditional hat maker who produces the distinctive, world-renowned Karamojong headwear. These hats are usually only found behind glass in the world's great museums.
Can you tell me a little bit about the materials? What is this material? This. What is this material? Yes, what is it?
It is the hair that they cut from the people when they shave
So this
people's
is
hair.
This people's hair.
Yeah.
But how does he fix it? How does he make the carcass, the form?
It's quite complicated and it takes a long time to finish. First you take the measurements, then you begin to weave. There is no hurry.
And how long he needs to produce one of those headdresses?
It takes me about a week to finish one hat.
This is for elders. Ah, this is nice. But it's an old one, right?
Yes.
But this is very nice. And here, and here you can put in the feathers.
Young men must be given permission to wear ostrich feathers by the elders.
I can understand when the people, they dance, it's made like this. Yeah? But this looks like a bird who is just searching a wife or something like this. Is this the reason why this is made in a way like this? Are you imitating birds?
Men attach feathers to their headgear to demonstrate that they are ready to bring home a woman and that they hope to marry her.
Finally, the moment arrives, and the large animal market is opened. Many Karamojong have arrived to present their best cattle. If one considers the significance of cows in local culture, it is not surprising that this place has been chosen for the birth of a new kingdom. We've come to an agreement with a guide who will ensure that we will be present when the Karamojong chieftains make their deliberations.
Yes, amazing. So this is a place where the elders meet usually?
Yeah, usually when we have some meeting outside, our shrine is this one.
Very nice. It still has these old hairdresses.
Following the traditional welcome, the leaders do begin to debate the issue of a new kingdom. But we are unable to follow the arguments.
Who was the king between Lokuta and Lakuda before the white people came?
Was there a king after Lokuta?
Lokuta was the king, and Lakuda was made king by the whites.
Who is now king of the Karamojong?
There is no king in Karamoja.
There are only us, the elders. We represent the shrine.
As I am the oldest here,
to me, you are the king in Dodoth. You are something like the king.
as there is nobody older than me in Dodoth, I have elected myself king. 98 years old.
You can't become king here that easily.
I am still the main, Nakadanya.
Everything that was spoken here must be discussed at a meeting.
Although it is clearly more than just a rumor that the Karamojong are looking to establish a new kingdom, I doubt that the efforts will go much beyond such discussions in the near future. On the other hand, other kingdoms were probably born the same way. At least everybody agrees to take a joint photo. A photo of the potential future kings of Africa.
That's very nice.
In northeast Uganda, we experience the traditional ancient way of life. But the country is changing rapidly. The internet is spreading, increasing outside influences from the rest of the world. Almost every third Ugandan now has access to the internet, and even kings are embracing the modern ways. In Kampala, we meet a media producer with ties to the modern monarchs. He hopes to introduce us to one of them.
Hello.
Are you Gibson?
Yes, hello, Mr. Alfred.
Nice to
Mr.
meet
Alfred
you.
greeting. Welcome to Uganda. So it's interesting. So whilst we're growing up in this generation, we're seeing it all happen, and we're trying to run the kingdoms our way, like new generation, not old generation. So you'll see the king of Busoga, a very flexible young man. We hang out with him. He's on social media. He tweets. He has Instagram. You know, so very flexible. He's still our king. So we go out and party with him in Jinja. I have a nightclub in Jinja in his kingdom. So he comes there, we have some good time. He has a radio station, he has a TV station. Very urban young king, and I think he's the right guy for you to meet.
Before we meet the king of Busoga, we were invited to visit his palace. It has only recently been renovated. The concept of monarchs was reintroduced into the constitution by President Museveni in 1995 in an effort to integrate the archaic power structures into the systems of state. The powers of the old leaders are clearly defined.
The government is doing...
Their main purpose is to increase social cohesion among the different ethnic groups and establish a common cultural identity that could be promoted primarily through education.
Wow, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is to prevent conflicts and ideas of secession within Uganda's borders. It doesn't always work. In 2009, there were violent street clashes after the king of the neighboring Buganda kingdom, which includes Kampala, suddenly made political demands. Museveni soon put an end to the protests.
But the palace was always for the king.
The palace was always for the king.
Was also
the original
built
plan was
also-
for the Chabazinga. So it was unfortunate because from 67 to 96, we didn't have kingship.
But the building was made for the Chabazinga.
Yes. That's when all the 10 chiefs sat and agreed and made the constitution that let one of us be the king, and not all of us having this small kingdom fragmented into 10, 11 chiefdoms.
But where does the king live?
Yes, the king lives in Kamuli.
In Kabul is where?
Kamuli is his chiefdom.
It's his... yes. It's his chiefdom, right.
It's his chiefdom.
Yes,
So
it's his chiefdom. He has an own chiefdom, but he's also the king.
He is also the king.
Of all chiefdoms.
So when they
I
were
understand.
electing,
Yes.
there were 10 chiefs.
Yes.
Then he got 9 votes. And so he's the king. And today, we are hopeful that the king will come here.
Yes.
William Karambula Gabula Nadiopa IV was crowned the new Yabazinga on September the 13th, 2014. Originally the son of the well-respected King Henry Wakamoloki, who had ruled since 1996, was to ascend to the throne. Gabula Nadiopa IV challenged the decision and emerged from the subsequent snap election victorious. The new king is well educated, having studied at university in Uganda. Following his coronation, he continued his education in Great Britain. This suggests that the king holds liberal views, an estimation that our guide confirms. Such views are still uncommon in Uganda. This could eventually lead to conflict with the conservative government in Kampala. Nadiopa IV's increasing authority is tolerated for now. However, for as long as power is held by the older generations, a king must remain loyal in order to survive. Before we meet the Yabazinga, we are welcomed by one of his trusted associates, a businessman and member of parliament who praises the positive aspects of Uganda.
The potential is huge, especially in tourism, because we have a lot of history, a lot of art, a lot of old historical monuments, and also we have a lot of attachment to River Nile, because the longest river, it starts from our kingdom.
The king of Busoga eventually appears. He has chosen traditional clothing for the photo shoot.
Your Highness.
Alfred Weidinger prepares to capture the image of this modern monarch.
Hello. It's nice to meet you. Alfred, you can introduce the team to the...
Okay, you can stand here, please. Exactly, this is the position. So we have a reflector, we'll make a brighter light in the face. Good, as it is. Very nice. So behind it's not sharp, but the sharpness is in your eyes. It's very good. As much light as possible in the face, please. Oh, very nice. Really like it.
First and foremost, it is preserving the culture vis-a-vis modernity. Given the current trend that we're in the 21st century, we have to balance within the culture setting, which is the traditional one, with the modernity, because at the end of the day, we need development. So my work is to preserve the culture in order not to lose the memories vis-a-vis modernity. So I have to endeavor that the people from my kingdom are united in order to score in one goal. And at the same time, they work hand in hand with other kingdoms and other people living within Uganda. Together we stand, divided we fall. Yes.
The Yabazinga very deliberately follows the official government position, limiting himself to the accepted interpretation of his role, at least in public. But what if a king's power isn't limited? An answer to this question may be found in Swaziland in southern Africa. The small kingdom lies on the border between South Africa and Mozambique. It is economically dependent on South Africa, as most of the country's trade is conducted with its much larger neighbor. The country's inhabitants are held back by an unstable economy, old technology, drought, and irregular supplies. Depending on the source, unemployment is between 28 and 40%. 63% of the country's population lives below the poverty line. King Mswati III celebrates his 50th birthday and decides to give himself a gift. Swaziland is to be renamed Eswatini. This name change provides an easy way for the king to write himself into the history books. But it will cost the country a lot of money, as will the elaborate celebrations of the event. Officially, there is a different explanation for both. Mswati was born in 1968, the year the country gained independence from Great Britain. We have announced the arrival of our film team and are met by a public relations advisor who will tell us more about Eswatini.
We are actually expecting more to happen here tomorrow. We're expecting many people from all over the country, some from outside the country, to come and see what Swazis will be celebrating tomorrow.
The preparations have taken a year. The kingdom hopes to portray youthfulness, strength, diversity, and unity under the leadership of its monarch.
They are one united nation. They don't like to fight. They don't quarrel. We are one. We are united. Maybe it's because we are just one clan. And we report to one king. We don't have parties. We are just under a kingdom.
The PR advisor's claims are not entirely true. In the 1990s, Mswati III was forced to make concessions after workers and students protested, demanding greater democracy. A constitution was introduced in 2006, but the document lacked a clear definition of what provided a party with legitimacy, and the process came to an abrupt end.
Swaziland, it's a place where political parties are banned. So if you want to form another party, or in your own country, you have a number of political parties that are formed. Yeah, they're banned. They are unable to exist, and then they are outlawed. So every act of a political party, so even meeting as a membership of a party, is an outlawed. It's an illegal act. And if you are found, you are charged with treason. And treason goes with life sentences, nothing less than 10 years.
With the king, it is true, he cannot be all over the country by himself. Like in the rural areas, we do have Tinghundla. We have took the government back to the people so that the king will be able to hear the people's needs in the rural areas. So we use the Tinghundlas. Because in the rural areas, he's got chiefs whom he uses as his eyes and ears. They report directly to the king whensoever the nation or whensoever his people, they've got complaints. Then they are the one to address the complaints.
Our hosts hope to show us how effective the local system is and invite us to visit a village near the capital city, Mbabane. A village meeting is in progress. Everything has been orchestrated to show us how well the process works. The chief is on hand. We are not told how often such gatherings take place.
I am Chief President Kapsani, Chief of Nkudwini area where we are now. I am the king's eyes, ears and everything that concerns the people. I report to the king.
The chief awards land that belongs to the king to the local farmers to build on. Farming is the main source of income since the country's large mines have closed down.
When we, especially in Europe, when we read about Swaziland or Eswatini, we read that it's a very, very poor country. But I don't have the feeling that it's really very, very poor.
It differs from how people see it. But you can attest to that. You have seen the people here are not that very poor.
Then it is time for business. The chief begins to give a speech to the villagers who have congregated.
Namhlanje ngikhange vusela. Bengisike bantu batawu babulala inyoka la. Sengibukile ke sekungemalanga bekunene akusiko lokukahle lokho lokwentekako.
The listeners remain silent. Somehow, it all feels very staged. We attempt to find out how the people who are to participate in the 50th anniversary celebrations feel about them. A young woman from the chief's chiefdom is selected, and we are invited to visit her. Across the world, women and children are often the greatest victims of exploitation. In poorer regions in particular, they are largely unable to defend themselves. According to a UNICEF report, 1/3 of Swaziland's women have experienced sexual violence before their 18th birthday.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, very well, thank you. What is your name?
Tulile Dlamini.
I see. So you have been there?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What did you do there?
I was dancing culture dance.
Really?
Yes.
Which type of dance?
I dance in Gadla.
So everyone is proud to be part of the girl groups, right?
Yeah, it's proud. And we love it. And we love our king. So we have to participate in it.
The great event is to take place the following day. The young woman's family will be in attendance. There is little doubt that she feels truly honored to be participating in the celebrations. Women in Swaziland have few opportunities in life. Most will spend their lives as farmers or as housewives. Although 90% of the country is Christian, polygamy is permitted. In reality, the high costs associated with getting married mean that it is rare, but it is nonetheless firmly enshrined in the law. The precarious economic situation is not the only problem Swaziland faces. The country also has a very high level of HIV infection. 26% of men, more than 1 in 4, carry the virus, as do 35% of the women aged between 15 and 49. We are brought back to Manzini in time for the 50th anniversary celebrations. Thousands make their way to the city for the event that took months to plan and weeks to choreograph. There are a few foreign dignitaries among the numerous guests, but none of any significance on the world stage. Some officers from the US Armed Forces settle in the stands alongside a few princes from the Arab states and representatives from neighboring countries, as well as normal citizens from Eswatini. The king enjoys presenting himself as a great military leader. This is more reminiscent of non-royal leaders from Africa's recent violent past. Swaziland is of little significance or importance internationally. This now no longer matters, as the country is about to become Eswatini.
live in Eswatini, Eswatini.
In fact, Swaziland was known as Eswatini before British colonial reign. However, the official explanation for today's name change is that people are unable to identify with a name that is half African, half English. In addition, according to Swaziland, the African country is frequently confused with Switzerland when it comes to international affairs. Nobody is prepared to point out the absurdity of this argument, and certainly not on the monarch's birthday. Mswati III's absolute power is maintained with a heavy hand. Anything an absolute monarch chooses to do is automatically legitimate, as it is God's will that this person be king or queen. Eswatini is the only country on the African continent in which this system is firmly enshrined. Mswati III has his own somewhat unusual understanding of his position. The anniversary celebrations draw to a close. Later, it will become clear that the purchase of a new fleet of limousines alone has surpassed the budget of $1.7 million allocated for the celebrations. Despite the massive cost overrun, the king is determined to keep celebrating. We are invited to join the party. The royal court, the international dignitaries, and Eswatini's high society will take advantage of the festivities to network, while the country's population is excluded. The guests here all have titles, money, or power, or all three.
But anyway, I'm from Mozambique in Gaza.
Yeah.
Province, I think the second biggest province in Mozambique. So, but now I stay in Mozambique full time, trying to build the economy there. Hard working all the way.
And since when do you know the king? The king of Zimbabwe?
I knew him from a distance. I met him personally last year. There is in Nwala is the ritual praying dance that they perform around December. So I came. I've been coming secretly. I've been coming
because
secretly
of the king's daughter.
Yes, I'm trying to be.
The royal family appears, displaying its riches. It is the last opportunity Alfred Weidinger will have to capture a photo of the King of Eswatini before he returns to Europe.
I keep the camera at the ready, and finally he appears in front of me. He is the last official king of the African continent, and yet I can discover very little that is regal about him or the riches he surrounds himself with. While we watch the overblown fireworks, I think about the other, less powerful kings of Africa. The Hogans, the spiritual leaders of Mali, the Tuareg nobles of Niger, the chiefs of Sierra Leone. They all felt some responsibility for their subjects. I wonder whether this is not perhaps an essential characteristic for a true king.